being hosted by the library. And the reason we're so excited to have Benji here is because Ben has donated a major portion of his film to the library that will be a part of the new Maritime Research Center, which we're trying to build. So the library needed a lot of repair and expansion. If you've been in the library this summer, it's packed. There's just not enough room, and we've needed this extra space for a long time. Plus, there were no mechanical systems in the library that would allow us to take care of the books properly. I mean, they have been taken care of, I shouldn't say that, but there was no heating or air conditioning. There was heating, but no proper air conditioning. And there's just not enough room. So the library had planned this expansion, but during the course of that, the library heard about John Wilson's maritime library that he has amassed over 50 years. Well, John's here. He actually donated his wooden boat library to the library, the Friend Memorial Public Library, which is going to allow us to have the nucleus with Ben's contribution and John's, this maritime research center that will really serve the community and the wooden boat community all over the world. And we're really excited about that. The library to date has raised over $1 million for the expansion. We have to raise about 2.5 minimum. We think it's going to be a little bit, probably over 3 million by the time that we get started. But we're hoping by the end of the summer, we will have raised over $1.5 million so that we can start moving the project forward. And so you'll see changes in the center of town. We're excited because we really believe that the library is the center of our community. And we love the people that are there, and we just think it's going to serve our community a lot better. So we're excited about that. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Ben, and it's all yours, friend. Good.
Hopefully that was from Robert, not from me. Yeah, the Friend Memorial Public Library is a wonderful institution. And when John decided that the wooden boat collection from Magazine, which is a dense research resource, was going to stay in Brooklyn and go be housed at the library, I got inspired to think of that as a home rather than a stock agency or something, as a home for my slide collection. Initially my slide collection, and eventually the digital years. There was a transformation in 2005 when I stopped shooting 35mm film and went to digital. So we're going to see a mix of images. Most of them are from the earlier years. And I guess we should turn the lights off. Kill the lights. And then we do it okay with the microphone, everybody can hear.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, I want to just say a little bit about, I was out of commission for last summer with some health issues. And so I'm feeling a little bit humbled and realizing that I need to make some changes in my life. And that's another reason why I thought instead of just keeping on full speed ahead, I am really looking forward to the part of my collection and eventually all of my collection being housed at the new Maritime Research Center here in Brooklyn. And we are keeping the calendar going. I don't know if you folks are aware, but the 2024 calendar is available now, hanging on people's walls, and 2025 has just been printed. So we're not going to miss any years of the calendar. The calendar will go on in my semi-retirement. So in my early years of photographic work, I actually was doing documentary film work, which ironically, not ironically, but wonderfully, is how I first discovered this area of Maine. I was up on a documentary film with a person I worked with who had a place in on Cranberry Island, and his daughter and John's wife, at the time, John's wife, Susie Garfield, were both in a dance recital together, and John and I both went to the recital, and there was an after party, and we're sort of standing around, not really knowing much about dance or knowing what to talk about, and it was going on. Oh, how are you? What do you do? And I said, well, I'm a photographer. And John said, oh, well, I have a magazine. And I said, oh, what kind of magazine? But anyway, was the very beginning of a relationship. It's been wonderful and lasted, I don't know when that was, probably in the 78 or 79. Anyway, I've always, on film, you know, you're carrying around these big cases of heavy quartz lights and lighting the interview or the scene for the slow film cameras. And I find in marine photography that it's all about natural light. And my challenge has been to find those beautiful moments of sunset or sunrise or unusual light and try to capture a beautiful boat in the scene. What I think has drawn me to just specializing in new boats is the beauty of the boats themselves. And the shape of the boats, the natural materials that they're created out of the craftsmanship is the allure for me. And in a storm-ridden vessel like this one, this is Discovery. It's a replica ship that was built at Booth Bay Harbor Shipyard. Is just, you know, it's incredible that this is the form that you know, creates the hull. And but it's not only the shape inside the boats. A beautiful classic yacht is out on the water. Oops, that was an automatic change. Forgive me. Out on the water. There, you know, the beautiful sheer line of the classic shapes of yachts. This is Mahjong in a good racing breeze, and it's a sight that's hard to resist for me. Let's see if we can get this change. Yeah, I've had a word of excuse. I had a little bit of a computer crash just before I got here, so I wasn't able to completely solve all the transitions. But anyway, we'll get through it. So this is the cover of the current 2024 calendar. That was the image. And I have to give a little bit of credit to a lot of credit really, to my two children, Hannah and Will, both of whom have really full-time demanding jobs. Some of you know what they are here. And along with navigating me, their dad through the medical establishment, they stepped up. They were here taking care of me, and they sorted through my image files, and along with my long-time office manager, Diane Allen, they pulled off the miracle of us not missing, despite the fact that I was ill, the 2024 edition. And over this past winter, when we got into producing the 2025 calendar, I was back into the process, the image selection process. And each year we look at well over 100 strong candidates, not only from my most recent photographic work, but older images as well that might have been passed over. Because, for instance, in the case of this cover shot, which is one of my favorite shots, the year this was photographed, over a decade ago, there was another image of a Bahamian racing boat that was a larger boat that happened to work with Nick's. But this guy was just sort of sitting there unloved, and it was great to see it come to the forefront in 2025. So each year, the selection committee, we're trying to get a variety. And there has to be a variety of boats and, of course, a lot and interesting scenes. And sometimes there's more than one full moon rise, but how many full moon rises can you have on one dark calendar? This is a boat that I sail. I'm lucky to sail my Concordia Yawl Starlight. You'll probably see her several times tonight. She's often around in front of my camera. Rain or shine, when magic seems materialized. And I've always been interested in challenged pose in the viewfinder, maybe left over from my documentary filmmaking days. And it requires forethought and patience, and being willing to sort of jump at the last minute when you see interesting light developing. And I have elected not to create images like this on the computer, which is pretty easy to do these days. This is against starlight. I don't, remove unwanted elements or move elements around. I'm tempted with Papui sometimes to just get them out of there, but I resist even that temptation. And except in this case, I did a little manipulation to just show you how easy it is. And this is this is actually the original photograph. I had removed the moon for the previous one. So if you see a moon or a rainbow or handsome or beautiful looking crew member, they were actually there on the boat. A lot of what I do is waiting. Overcast days are discouraging, but sometimes they provide, when there's a little sun break, a beautiful, special natural moment. And hopefully there's a nice boat around. And in this case, this is a little boat called Katie, a 20-foot cruising sloop designed by Harry Bryan and built by his company, Bryan Boat Building in Canada. Sometimes there's more than one nice boat around. This is, I'm sure you folks will recognize, this is the main Windjammer fleet at one of their annual sail-ins to Great Cove by Windboat Magazine. And that's in the foreground, the 1871 Stephen Haber. But again, I'm always hoping for, fingers crossed, that, low light, beautiful scenes. This, because there's no wind, and I think they're all lying to the current and lying nicely in the same direction, which is not always the case. So since the collection that's going to the library really represents the first 25 years of the calendar, I thought I'd just do a quick little medley of those covers so we can see the variety of images. And in each case, from the very beginning, I was working with my mentor, really, in those wooden boats, Maynard Gray, who's here tonight. Hi, Maynard. And also from the beginning, Sherry Streeter, who's been the designer. And her sense of color has really made the calendar a unique thing, because we choose very carefully and very careful printing the colors that surround the image to enhance them. And let's be quiet for a minute. Starlight has made it onto the cover. So this really gives you a good representation of some of the very strongest images from the slide collection that is going to be ending up at the library. So there it is, 25 years, the first 25 years. And over those years, I have traveled extensively to various countries that feature fleets of traditional boats and festivals that celebrate them. And you might have noticed on some of the covers, some backgrounds that didn't quite look like down East Maine. This is the 95-foot Fife cutter Moonbeam 4, built in 1920. Built as a cruising boat rather than a racing boat, although she does participate in the races against the likes of Mariquita there on the right. And she's a 19-meter cutter built in 1911, also 95 feet on deck, and just beautifully sailed by her professional crew. This is Mariquita again in the foreground, getting ready for a race before getting the head sails up. And these yachts are, the yachts over in Europe are large and really impressive, beautifully sailed, and examples of traditional, not to mention fearless, professional crews. You can tell from the previous shot how high up that is, but it's, yeah. During some of these trips for the big yachts, big regatta yachts, for instance, in San Tropez, where those last shots were, you know, there's also other things that are going on the waterfront. And this is the group of traditional harbor fishing boats that go out each day, and they don't have the varnish and you know, flawless white paint of the big yachts, but they are nonetheless with their nice lively colors. They really caught my eye, and this is a shot that I was just as happy to get as the ones with the big sailing yachts. But the truth be told, I feel many of my best images are from right here in your old Brooklyn. This is Goblin of Friendship Sloop coming into Center Harbor at sunset. And then, you know, in Maine, we are surrounded really by some of the best designers and boat builders in the world currently working. And we have fantastic and varied summer weather. So I think some of us have been suffering through the humidity, but it will break one of these days. And this is a Murray Peterson schooner, Serenity. And a lot of, you know, there are a lot of boats around here all summer long that call Maine waters, or, you know, Brooklyn and other local harbors their homes. This is Summertime. She's a pinky schooner drawn by Howard Chappell and built by Captain George Allen right in North Brooklyn in 1986. And, you know, boats that are not home ported here, a lot of them come up like for the Ekamagan Reach Regatta, which was just last weekend. And or they're up here on a cruise. So I just feel working here, living here was a good move for me. And since I am living here, I'm often around on those special moments of low light. This is the schooner Jane E. Riggin. She was originally a Delaware Bay oyster boat built in 1927. And even though they haven't furled the headsails yet, this I like this image just because the work in progress of getting the sail put away. So rather than this. If I would go into this is in Scotland, and you arrive for a weekend regatta, and although the background is beautiful, the boats are beautiful, you might be pure white, overcast skies, or in this case just sort of what I would consider a fairly boring blue sky. So I really like working in my home, around my home waters. So I guess. I, along with others, feel Brooklyn is definitely the wooden boat building capital of the world. Most of the time, when you're shooting boats, you're out on the water. It's mostly sky and water. And as I've said, I'm looking for interesting skies. But I also keep an eye out for shoreside scenes that might make a nice backdrop. And I've always loved these red boathouses. This one is in Bucks Harbor, I think. And I was lucky to have my eye on that and know that this new boat that Doug Highland designed and was built by Ian Highland and Associates back in 2006. We had a photography session planned, and we just waited and waited until there was a nice evening with high tide, so that we could get in there and get this shot. So we're back to Starlight. Sorry about that. I'd like to talk a little about the variety of boats and scenes that I've been able to capture. And in this kind of a shot, what I'm trying to do is communicate the feeling of being aboard a beautiful boat, and feeling for speed and excitement. And we can get even a little more exciting here. In the previous shot, there was nobody on deck, and that often for me is actually preferred. But here, at least, there are people on deck, but they're all absorbed in the moment. Either watching carefully, trying to stay dry. I don't know what the guys in the foreground are doing, but then doing some sail trimming, not looking at their phone or trying to take a picture of the other boat, or just being bored. If you have people in the photograph, they need to be involved in what's going on for the photograph to work. Also, we'll try to capture that feeling for movement, with a close-up here of the Louis R. French, one of the main windjammers, also built in 1871, along with the Tabor, the two oldest continuously working schooners or boats, probably. These shots are known around the review table as crashing battle shots. And I always come back to a few of them, and again, when we're working on variety, you can have two shots that were framed like this, but you often get away with one of them in the calendar, even though it doesn't show the whole boat. And even if the boat's not moving, this is, I think, taken probably in Saint-Tropez or one of the European gatherings. The boats that are on the shore or on their moorings, if they're put away properly, you can get a clean shot like this. And this is just beautiful, to me, traditional rigging and seamanship and craftsmanship. This is another photograph, low light again, my sort of redundant, but my favorite. And even this, I think, was probably just before sunset when the boats had been put away. And even every once in a while, after dark, there's some image that would work. This is, no, she's only 112 feet. Cambria, 23-meter sloop, designed by William Fife and built by the Fife Company in Fairleigh, Scotland. And again, maybe there's some boat owners here, so this might inspire you, but you know, these shots only work if the boat is put away, what we would say as properly. Everything's neat, everything's tidy. There aren't a lot of towels hanging from the lifelines or from the side or bathing suits. You know, that doesn't work. Even though at regattas, it's often, you know, people need to provide that profile. Even, you know, even a boat sailing, if it's by having any control, or if the people are just, you know, have really good seamanship skills, you can see the coiled halyard there hanging neatly, piled down on deck. This wouldn't be the same shot. And of course, this is Dion, the 1924 Luder's gaff sloop. At least back when this was shot, she had never been restored, just in the same family, multiple generations, and I think only, Maynard will correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe only sailed every other year or every third year. So this is an incredible, let's see, at least 60-year-old at the time, or 70-year-old boat that has and never had to be restored. This was so well cared for. We're back over, I don't know, somewhere in Regatta, Royal Regattas or Regatta Royale. This is a sloop called Alida. And the reason I'm showing this is to make the point of the enhancement of good-looking sails. Or, I mean, good-looking in my judgment. But sails that have a traditional feel, small panels, small, even though she's got 3 reef points there, and but the 4 clue patches are all sort of done nicely and traditionally, rather than a big piece of heavy cloth. And of course, if you backlight a sail like this, then you really see the structure of it. But it's not all, it's not all about big gold platers. So small boats for me are just as compelling. We always try to have a variety of boats size-wise in the calendar. This is a Cohina, designed in 1889 by N.G. Herschel. I think it was designed for himself, if I'm not wrong, and the original was destroyed in the 1938 hurricane in Bristol. Doug Hyland, local boat builder, built this replica. Another small boat that made the calendar. This is Nellie, Bob Baker design, built by Bill Page, and actually featured in issue #1 of One Boat magazine before I was involved. This is Maynard's double paddle canoe, designed by L. Francis Harrisoff, built by Maynard when he was working at Mystic Seaport. And one of the things that he taught me is that the great thing about going ashore to a beautiful locale in Maine in a beautiful boat is that your boat, rather than being sort of a piece of fiberglass that's sitting on the shore, enhances the scene. It enhances your pleasure of being there, because you can, when you're sitting down having your cheese and crackers or beer or whatever, this is what you're looking at. And this is a scene, a scene that I keep my eye out for. And oftentimes these work much better without people, because the boats are small, and if there was a person, pulling it up or on the shore or sitting in it or whatever, that would be the story rather than the boat. Powerboats, yeah, we got powerboats. This is a Lake Union Dreamboat Fawn. from the Seattle area, and they were designed and built to keep people warm and dry on the rainy days. They have a lot of on Puget Sound, and we've had a bunch of West Coast powerboats in the calendar. The other great place for powerboats, small powerboats launches, are the lakes, and this is a lake launch, a Fan Bowen designed and built launch called the Fawn. And I can't remember which shot ended up in the calendar, but I just love the fact that, again, when people are in the scene, it has to be for me, some reason for some involvement with people. The guy's straw hat helps, and I think the woman here just sort of dragging her hand in the water adds a nice little bit of interest and element to the shot. Then there's something like this, Corsair, 35-foot launch, designed by Nathaniel Harrisoff and built by the Harrisoff Manufacturing Company in 1939. And she was built for one of the famous Corsair motor yachts as a tender. A little different from the tender we saw around Brooklyn with 450 outboards. When shooting powerboats, you don't need any wind to fill the sails. Nice to have a little bit of movement so the flags fly. But the reflective water on a flat day is a wonderful time to shoot powerboats. You kind of get two views up there, or two boats, the real one and the reflection. This is Corsair's helm, and it's hard to miss with varnished teak and polished brass. Details and the craftsmanship speak for themselves, and the maintenance that goes into taking care of these boats. It's kind of a photographer's dream. But there are more accessible boats. This is my friend Bill Maier's boat. She's a 21-foot handy billy, appropriately named for Bill Maier, maybe, or at least coincidental. And this one was built by Golden Pond Boats in Belgrade, Maine. Name is was at the time Vario. Not sure how we say that. It's simple. I mean, we did have the moon near the early moonrise. This wasn't quite a full moon, and a nice sky, and just out for a ride. And that's Bill. Yeah. A few years ago, not too many. Boat shops, yes, we try to get construction shots or boat shop shots. This is a particularly nice little shop because there's not a lot of clutter, and that's the thing. Depending on what's around the boat makes all the difference in these scenes. And this is Agnes, 12.5-foot Darrow on skiff, designed by David Stimson and built by Will West of Blue Bay Harbor Shipyard back in 2006. Interiors, yes, we like interiors. They're not easy. This is the interior of the lovely 12-meter Gleam. I think it was up here for the regatta. And they're difficult because, well, first of all, oftentimes they're cluttered, especially if boats are up here cruising. There's, crew gear on board. But if you have a clean opportunity, rather than lighting it, which is what some photographers do, I prefer to try to capture the natural light in the space. So you can see it's kind of dark up in the forepeak there, beyond the mast. But if you use the natural light that comes in through the portholes or the skylight, the hatches, it really tends to convey or give you a feeling of what it's like to be aboard. And sometimes the simplest of boats make strong images. This is Sava, Gloucester Lake Dory, designed by Phil Bolger and built by one of the editors of Wooden Boat, Tom Jackson, back in 2001, and he's still rowing it today for exercise and pleasure. And we had, if I had time, a little more time today, I would have shown you a shot this year of a boat filled with 3 dogs during their dog birthday party. I'm kind of wrapping up here. I think this is the end. I don't know if it's going to happen automatically. Anyway, happy to take a few questions, and then like.